Welcome to ReConnect with Plant Wisdom. I'm your host, Tigrila Gardenia, nature-inspired mentor and leadership coach. In this podcast, I share ancient and modern knowledge from biology to spirituality about the wondrous ways in which plants can help you lead a naturally conscious life. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 26. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of having a creative greenhouse. Now, obviously, in the last few episodes, we've been talking about how important it is that for this shift in paradigm, we need to have hard conversations. We need to think about things in completely new ways. We need to bring the plants into the conversation, collaborate with kin in a way that will probably stretch the way we think, the way we talk, the way we express, and even what our ideas are. So it's extremely important in this phase, and really it's extremely important, in my opinion, in life in general, to have safe spaces where you can have hard conversations, to have those people around you that allow you to be vulnerable, to express uncomfortable feelings, and even to experiment with new ways of being and exploring in life. Because it's not always easy to think about who we want to become, or more importantly, how we want to live our lives, especially when we're doing that with a different type of being. When I'm working with someone, because really for me they're ones, and I'm looking directly. There's a plant sitting right in front of me, and I can't. It's so hard sometimes to put into words the things I want to share with. Actually, here, for those of you that are on the video, I'm just going to show you because. So the way I see this plant is this way. And as you can see, there's like this this is a succulent plant. For those of you that are just listening, it's a succulent. The succulent has one particular little leaf right now that is pointing straight up. And there's lots of different aspects around this. This plant actually has a very small infection. So there's this little kind of, I don't even know what it's called, that sometimes, attacks the plant. So there's a little bit of attention being asked. There's also a presence that is calling my attention to the plant. And it's really interesting because as I speak, as I start to formulate the thoughts of trying to translate, to be this translator for you of this new plant-inspired way of looking at the world, of allowing my own plantness, what's inside of me, to really come out and connect with you, with the plants around me, and to like mix and find that balance with my humanness. And this has always been a big challenge for me. This has always been part of my personal path, and what my archetype is, to be this bridge between multiple worlds. And so this is why it's so important for you to have these safe spaces and for you to explore new ways of expression. One of the things that I created in the Naturally Conscious community specifically for this was the writing group. It came as a collaborative effort with several of my leader sprouts to create a place where we could write and explore through the written word our connection with plants, where we could, write poetry, write prose, write stories, where there's no critique, there's no feedback. It is a straight up writing group with the idea is to really express our relationship with plant worlds, especially through storytelling, because storytelling starts to create the new myths that become the new realities that we live in. And this has been very enriching. It's been amazing to hear everyone who participates regularly. Drop-ins are always welcome, by the way. It's inside of Seedling Sprouts in the Naturally Conscious community. And, it's just been so much fun to hear the different types of words and that come into being when you have this safe space to create, specifically around our relationship with plants. Like, we've really explored with the prompts, what would a completely different world look like where, plants and humans are equal, or where maybe humans are the slaves of plants, or, all kinds of different expressions, because that type of creativity allows us to move into new ways of thinking and having that place where there are no rules. I mean, we read a lot of books. We obviously have the our book club, our Plant Wisdom book club. And the book club allows us to really bring into being new ideas and thoughts and to have discussions around them. But when it comes to this, we still get stuck in anthropomorphic ways. We still get stuck sometimes in how do I apply it? And having this creative space in our writing group, kind of through pen and paper, and or in my case, a computer, because I tend to type much better than I write longhand. But some others really like the motion of writing longhand. You're able to get into a new form of expression. And it's been extremely enriching for all of us because, and the other thing that I find really great is that it's sometimes a great way to brainstorm not just a new written idea, but even just a new idea that you're working on through the prompts. I use the prompts a lot to help me explore topics of conversation or research that I'm doing with plants. So I kind of take the prompt and then think about it in the context of something I'm working on with No Name Dracaena, or something that Spider Plant and I, my business partner, and I are working on. And then I try to like explore that out in different ways. Honestly, recently, since I've been working on my own subtle body of imagination, I've been working on a lot of dialogue and like storytelling in that aspect because it's something completely new to me. But we need a place where we can try out new ideas, where we can explore these new paradigms, where there is no critique or feedback or anybody that tells you it's good, it's bad, it's right, it's wrong, or it's anything like that. We need spaces of pure exploration where we do it with others, because the group collective really moves the energy in different ways. It allows us to see ourselves the way others see us. It allows us to bounce off and get inspired by other people that are also expanding their paradigm. So we really try to push the envelope with very unusual prompts, with lots of plant references. Sometimes we'll use photographs. Sometimes we'll introduce a plant into the mix, and we'll have a meditation or a moment of contact, and then let like that be the prompt. I mean, we really try to go outside the box. We've even worked on song lyrics, which was extremely fun because the song lyrics helped kind of bring a musicality and a movement into what we were doing. We've done straight up dialogue. We've done, different kinds of characters, and we will continue to do them because it's super, super fun. It's creative. It's exploratory. It allows us to express, and it does all these things. But what happens when you really want to move that experimentation and expression out into the world? And we started to ask ourselves that, because some of the stuff we create is really good, to be honest. There's a lot of pieces that get created that can become part of an art exhibit, or it can become part of an article, or that can be used in a book or in other forms of expression. And so we did two things to expand on the writing group. One of the things that we did was add in the middle of it, so we meet every single week in the writing group, and one of those days, we meet on Wednesdays. One of those Wednesdays a month is actually called Budding Artistry. So that was the first thing we did to expand. And Budding Artistry is where, instead of using the written word, we use anything else. So I bring, like, each one of us brings to the table all of our, we do this online, but each one of us has like a crate filled with all of our creative tools. It could be, charcoals, or paint, or markers, anything. I tend to work with pastels now and acrylic, something I've never done before. Oil and pastels, and like just working with crayons and colored pencils. I've got a little collection in a crate now that I use. And so this helps us also move into the places where the words aren't there, right? We talked in a previous episode about the fact that a new paradigm requires a new vocabulary. It also requires a lot more imagery, new imagery. So the Budding Artistries allows us to kind of take all these, again, explorations and work through them in a means that is not just written. And it's not even always visual, to be honest. Like, sometimes we've had people who've come in and had movement or dance. I've also felt the need to like express what was coming through the prompt with me with my body. As a former dancer, it really, that somatic release for me really works well. Sometimes you end up writing poetry or haiku or some kind of rhyme because words do come into it. So it's not like words are not allowed, but the idea is to expand ourselves, to push ourselves, to push the visual, push the narrative, continue to move towards that new paradigm and allow ourselves that safe space to do it. And then we realized that, okay, so now we have a place where we can do it with the written word and sort of kind of get our expression out. And then we have this other space for other creations. But what happens when I want to take what I've created and start to share it with others in whatever mean that might be? What if I want to put together a book, or if I want to create an article that I can publish, or I want to create some kind of other type of endeavor like a website or things. So we created a creative greenhouse now, and this creative greenhouse has been such an enriching, fun experience. So in the creative greenhouse is our place to give feedback. So we walk through, one person like volunteers to have something that they are planning on sharing with the world, to have that critiqued or workshopped. It's more of a workshop than a critique. What we do is the person then shares that work with us, and then we tend to take, a few weeks to like read it, explore it, and think about it. And then we meet, and in the meeting, the person, we set the expectations. What is it that the person wants to do with it? Where does it want to go? What state of is it in, and all this. And then we walk through the process of workshopping it together. How can we create the most accessible and yet paradigm shifting whatever it is that the person wants to work with in order for them to really get it out? What is it that the mainstream really needs, or whomever the audience that that person is trying to reach? One of the recent ones that we did, which was really interesting and very different, was we workshopped a homeschooling lesson. One of our members is a person who is working with children, and she's looking to create homeschool programs that bring children in touch and into a deeper connection with nature and with the natural world in general, both physical as well as subtle. And so we worked on a lesson plan that she was planning on giving to a group of homeschooled children. And this was really interesting because then we had to, deal with how might the parents accept it? How would the kids accept it? Where do you start from? What do you assume? We learned, for example, that most children around the ages of 6 to 8 years old learn pretty much nothing around plants. Like, they don't really understand the concept of plants giving us oxygen. They don't really think about, or they're not taught about any kind of even basic plant biology, such as, I don't know, how plants grow. And I'm not saying that they should be getting, the full sciences, but you would expect little kids to have a relationship with the natural world through their schooling. And this was extremely eye-opening for all of us, because we realized that the lesson plans that she had planned had to start from the basics. Like, there was a lot of assumptions that we had to change. So it's an extremely positive and supportive way to sometimes even deal with controversial subjects. Like, we've had people that have created articles. We've had people that have wanted to introduce artwork. We've had lots of different aspects of what it is that we want to review and workshop together, because you get the input of this nature inspired approach of all these people who live in different parts of the world, who have, different cultural norms, and that really helps shape and inform and helps us understand what to do. So this is a way for us to touch people through their creativity, and this is really a powerful medium for getting out what is a new way of thinking, because it's very easy for you to try to put out something that's new. First of all, it's very easy for you to not put anything out, because your fear of not being understood, of being too far out, of being too weird and too woo, which are topics that we discuss a lot in the naturally conscious community, because that idea of how do I embrace my weird and woo, and I'm going to do a future episode on that because I think it's such an important topic. But so how do you create something that's going to touch the mainstream, that's going to inform them, that's going to excite them, that's going to make them curious, while at the same time being true to the shift that we want to have? Like, how do I find that subtle point, that sort of sweet spot where I'm allowed to, where not allowed, where I'm See, me in the words where I can express myself so clearly and at the same time um, introduce a new thought process. As I'm saying that, let's take a break for right now so that I can share with you one of our eco business partners because they also are changing the world through the products and services that they offer. Any little bit we can do to help the environment is a win in my book. That's why I'm such a fan of Who Gives a Crap, a B certified company that donates 50% of profits to ensure everyone has access to clean water and a toilet within our lifetime. Not all of us have access to a bidet, so if you have to wipe your bum with something, this is the best toilet paper to choose. They wrap their TP in paper, not plastic, which saves tons of harmful plastic from ending up in our landfills or hurting animals. And get this, one box of TP can last up to a whole year. Trust me, I've tried this with my own family. They have two eco friendly options, one made out of recycled sheets and other from bamboo sheets, which is super fast growing alternative to trees. They're soft and strong and really hold up. Who Gives a Crap delivers to your door and offers a 100% money back guarantee. You can't beat that. So click on the link in the show notes to give it a go. So I was telling you about this creative greenhouse that we've created. And as I said, what I love about the creative greenhouse is that this is a way for us to use new mediums to touch new audiences or to use other mediums to touch new audiences. I guess that's the best way of putting it, right? This is the opportunity for you to use and take what you've created that you probably even didn't even think was something that you were going to expand on or use or explore in those contexts. How do you, for example, what's the right word I'm looking for? Like, how do you take something that maybe was originally conceived as a part of yourself, your self expression, and then expand it out to the world? And so that's been really fun. For example, one of the things that we did was a seed talk. So a seed talk is something we do within the naturally conscious community. It's kind of like a TED talk for the topics that are most important for us. So the idea of a seed talk is a talk that is given by a sprout who shares a new paradigm shifting idea or expands on something that really connects us more to our multi-passionate plant loving self. And it's been very fun to do them. We've only done a few of them, but the seed talks are really our versions of TED Talks, and that's been really great. And so one of the things that we workshopped in as a creative greenhouse was one of these seed talks specifically on creativity. So that was extremely exciting to do because again, we had the opportunity to sort of shift our way of thinking and get we help the person sort of how would they want it to present. This is not a person who's used to being up on a stage, who's used to presenting their work. So how do they present the work? What is the work itself? How does it share all of these new ways of thinking while at the same time bringing it into a context that is accessible to people and that walks them through? Oftentimes, the biggest thing that we work on is the journey from the person who arrives or who first it consumes whatever it is that you are offering, who normally is in one state of mind, and how do they end up in this other state of mind that is a state of mind that's unpredictable or unexpected for them. And I think that that's the real magic that we have. So I wanted to share this with you because I think it's really important for us to have these spaces. I think it's really important for us to create these places. I've created it through the writing group and the budding artistry and the creative greenhouse, and that's where we're all enjoying it. And I really wanted you to explore that space. Like I said, drop-ins are always welcome, and everything is inside the naturally conscious community in its own space inside seedling sprouts. And I want you to take advantage of this because there is so much richness for you to have in helping you give a shape and a form to your world, to what you're exploring, to who you are becoming. And this is the space for you to have it. So take advantage of it. Take advantage of it and resist the urge to hold back your evolving green brilliance. Show it to the world. practice, play with it, experiment with it, and let us be there to support you through the process. All right, that's me for now. Thank you so much. We will see each other again next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of ReConnect with Plant Wisdom. Intro and outro music by Steve Shuley and Poinsettia from The Singing Life of Plants. So join me, Tigrila Gardenia, and my plant collaborators next time on ReConnect with Plant Wisdom.